I thought I could make the next Facebook, and it wasn't that at all. They don't realize that the words that they're saying, like the impact that can have on someone. I reached out to an app development company in Perth and got quoted $2.2 million for the app that I wanted.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Noongar Wadandi Mort. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.
Scratch the surface and everyone has a story. Welcome, Kaya, to The Wisdom of Women.
Hi, today's guest is Alexis McDonald, who's turned a negative school experience into something really positive and amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing mental health and wellness app called HerHelp. Welcome, Lexi, and thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys.
It is very lovely to see you. Now, I'm just going to start off by saying, Lexi, you've kind of called yourself a bit of a dreamer in some of the interviews and bits and pieces that I've seen. But I tell you what, you've been getting things done over the last couple of years. So tell us about HerHelp. Tell us how it works. How did this all come about?
Yeah, good question. So I started HerHelp in my bedroom at 17 after being bullied growing up. And I was like, no one goes through school unharmed, right? Like everyone's got something challenge that they go through.
Can I just ask about the bullying aspect, the mental health side of it?
Yeah.
When you're talking about bullying, are you talking about stuff that was really quite full on and excessive? Was it enough to really actually pull you back from your environment and go, I'm so not comfortable here?
Yeah, totally. Little girls can be so mean and they don't realize that the words that they're saying, like the impact that can have on someone. So yeah, totally. It makes you think. And, life challenges, right? My parents went through a divorce at the same time. So like dealing with all that, at once is really challenging. And then being like, I'm not the only person that struggles with aspects of life, because school's not just about academic struggles. It's about being in an environment with people maybe you wouldn't want to hang out with normally. And then, the behind the scenes stuff as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of formulated in your mind, I can do something. I can turn this negative into a positive.
Well, I was like, where do people go for that support, right?
Because I guess school doesn't always get it right.
Yeah.
They try, but they don't always get the solution right. And it might be a good blanket one, but it's not going to work for you
everything,
all the time.
everyone. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And also saying stuff out loud is also really difficult. Like a lot of the time, like you have to build up to a certain point to be able to be like, okay, like this is actually something that I'm struggling with. So I was like, where do people go if they're just, in their own thoughts being like, this is really hard. Like, I don't know where to go. I'm lost. Is there somewhere that they can access without actually having to speak to anyone? So I had no idea how to make an app, but I was like, an app's always on your phone. It's there whenever you need it. It's just there. You don't have to look for it. Hopped onto YouTube, searched up how to make an app, and went from there.
That would have been hard. Geez.
So you started this when you were still at school?
Yes.
So you were studying and just
totally. I was studying
an
ATAR
app.
and then procrastinating my studies to develop an app.
Yeah. There you go.
Did you tell anyone, A, that you were being bullied and you were finding it tough, and B, that you decided you're going to venture out and create this app? Like, did you tell anyone?
Did I tell anyone? I told, my parents are the most supportive people in the world about the bullying and stuff, but when you're in that environment, there's only so much that these people can do. Yeah. So they definitely knew, but I guess when you move into that high school, the drama's change and it just add in hormones and puberty and everyone gets a little bit scarier and challenges get meaner. But as for making that, I didn't tell anyone I was doing it really until it launched, because it's just a weird thing to say to someone. Like, I'm making an app. Like, I'm the most untechy person you've ever met in your whole life. So being like, I've coded this whole program and it's an app was just like something that I felt like I couldn't say to someone until I knew that I could do it, because otherwise it's just me saying something.
Setting yourself up for
people
failure
are
here.
like, what happened to that app you were yapping on about years ago? I'm like, I gave up. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather just be like, surprise.
So when you launched the app, how did you launch the app? I know it would have gone on to stores and whatever, but did you do anything exciting to launch the app?
Yeah, well, that was the exciting thing was you get like an email from the AppStore and Google Play being like, congratulations, like your app will be up within 24 hours. And that email, I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't told my family. Like, like mum and dad knew what I was up to, but like aunties and uncles and cousins who I'm so close with had no idea that that's what I was doing. So
You secret
yeah,
thing.
I know. So it went up and I was like, I have to give this a day to kind of let all the people that mean something to me that this has happened, rather than just posting it on Facebook straight away and being like, surprise, and all my friends being like, sorry, what? Like,
oh my God,
what
how
do you
awesome.
do? Yeah.
But
What do we not know about
before
you?
you got to this point, though, there's a really interesting story about how you approached what a professional app developers company.
Yes.
How interesting. What did they say to you? Like,
Totally. So that was after. So I created the app in my room, 17, launched it, and it took me to some really cool places. So I had 10,000 people download the app within 3 months of it being up and launched.
That's great.
And
Lot of people.
but I was like, this app is so basic. Like what I was able to create, like I thought I could make the next Facebook, and it wasn't that at all.
That's so
I
funny.
tried really hard.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, let's make this better. So by the end of 2019, as I was graduating year 12, I reached out to an app development company in Perth and got quoted $2.2 million for the app
Oh
that
my
I wanted.
God.
That's a little more than your
it's
pocket money.
a little, and I went to Mum. I was like, Mum, have you ever saved like millions? Just
Do
me
you
and
happen
my-
to have $2.2 million
Yeah.
that you
I'll-
could
I'll
just...
I'm
Feel
working at
bad.
the fish and chip shop. Surely that's gonna create that income for me. But yeah, so that was crazy. And I thought, because I did half the work, because I designed it all screen by screen, button by button. Was like, cool, I've like pretty much done it, right? You just need to make it happen. But no, it was very very expensive process, that's for sure.
So what did you do to improve it? Did you just keep going yourself?
Yeah, so my biggest thing was like I realized how time consuming it was to code, and I think when you're doing something you've got to figure out where your skills are best and where to outsource and get help when need be. So I went to a few coding, workshops and spoke to people, and I remember the turning point was I was at an event with some lady speaking next to me, and she said it took her 3 weeks to create a little game, and she couldn't figure out how to pause this like jumping man and like pause it and play it, and she worked on it solidly full time for 3 weeks and couldn't figure out how to do it. And I was like, okay, well, I want to make like a Facebook sized app, so I might need some help because I don't have 3 weeks, let alone the 10 years you've had to build up those skills.
Wow.
So yeah, very daunting, but yeah, it was definitely something that I was like, I need help with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who did you go to?
Oh, everyone. So at the end of 2019, I almost had enough money to do it. So I reached out to companies for sponsorships and all different programs, like everything. I moved to Kalgoorlie at the same time, and I remember sitting in, my new little apartment, and I was like, okay, what brands can we reach out to? And I was in the cupboard like, okay, cool, Arnott's perfect. Let's like send them an email and like, anyone with anything. And sent a bunch of emails. And by the, started 2020, I almost had enough to just press go, make it happen. But then obviously the start of 2020, everyone knows what happens. COVID hit, and
the bug.
as quickly as everyone was writing up, promises and contracts for me, they were taken away as it was daunting times. The disposable income got less. People kind of just resorted back in, and I was like, okay, great, let's go back to square one.
So what did you do?
Cried. No.
Well, I would have cried.
It was the 2020 was a big waiting game because lots of companies were still promising that, but being like, we just don't know right now. And then 2021 was a lot of going to investors, pitching, people coming to me. I had people offering me that much money for a certain percentage of my business, and very challenging world to revolve in, especially as I was an 18-year-old at the time.
Yeah.
So did you have someone had your back? Did you have like a parent or an advisor or someone who was like going, okay, hang on, Lexi, let's just have a think about this, what's being offered? Who's helping you?
I've got the most supportive, mum and dad, but I guess they're not business minded. They've never had businesses. So, when I'm telling dad that someone's offering me millions of dollars for a percentage in a company that doesn't earn
gonna
any
take
money,
it.
he's like, do it. And he's like, no one's ever offered me that much money. Like, you have to do it. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. Like, I believe in my idea. I believe in the vision. And I believe that it's worth more keeping that percentage and finding another way around it. So
is that right? So even at that age and at that stage, you were still going, nah, what I've got has far much more value.
yeah. And that's was sometimes stupid, and people were like, okay, like you just turned down a lot of money for that.
You're listening to your gut.
Yeah.
And obviously it's worth something because someone was wanting to get paid $2.2 million to help to develop it as a payment. So that would have made me go, oh, hang on a minute, it's obviously worth something. This is a good...
Totally. That was my whole thing, was like, if this guy who doesn't, is never going to use a female empowerment app, and he's, offering me this much money, like, clearly it's worth more than that. So like, if he's so desperate to be involved, maybe that's a good sign that I'm on the right track, but maybe he's not the person. Because my biggest thing was, my business was never just about profit, and he was like, okay, this is how much and this is all the numbers, and I was like, this isn't the vision, and I don't want someone in being a team with me whose visions don't align with mine.
Absolutely.
I love the way you're so strong about your ideas and your value around it. That is really cool.
Thank you. Yes, it's led me down some trickier roads than maybe they should have been, but definitely worth it in the end, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So COVID kind of wanes off. Companies start conversing with you again about investment, and so how does all that then develop?
Yeah, so investment, I kind of drew a line through the sand and I was like, this isn't what I want. There's lots of people that want to invest in me, amazing, and if push comes to shove and I need that, I'll think about it, but that just wasn't for me. So I was reaching out to grants. There was lots of government grants for mental health just after COVID, all that kind of thing. Turns out that government organisations don't want to give an 18-year-old girl again millions of dollars for an idea, which was a hard pillow to swallow. So I spent maybe a year applying for grants, grant after grant, grant after grant. Sorry, Lexi, unfortunately, constantly. And it was my stepdad actually who said to me, he goes, I've never made an app before. He doesn't use his phone. He doesn't use social media, but he said, I've never seen someone work so hard for something without any, pull through. So he said, I made a wool testing machine 20 years ago. Give me a week, let me see what I can do, and I'll let you know if I can, see this as something we can work on together. Yeah. And we worked on it for 12 months together. Oh my goodness. And then launched it. Yeah.
Wow.
Hang on, go back, a wool testing.
A machine. Just like for a farmer. Ago. Yeah.
So he knows how to build a product, get a product to market.
Totally.
And he's just looked at you and gone, I can see that this is a good product.
Totally. Yeah. His brain works that way. Like, coding is very mathematical. It's very, problem solving. It's very...
logistical, step by step.
Totally. And a way that my brain will never work. So being able to chat to him and him being able to problem solve and understand the baseline, but, having arguments about what a like button is or what a comment is or why someone would ever want to comment on something. And, it's really stripping it back and kind of like, going, okay, cool. And worked on it together.
So what areas did you decide that you were going to cover?
Within the app?
Within the app itself.
Yeah. So while he was busy coding, I was busy getting as many people on board as we possibly can. So we have over 100 professionals on the app when we launched it, which is so cool. So everything, I was like, realized very quickly that when I started, it was me at high school being like, this is the challenges I'm facing. But then seeing the broader audience using it and how it wasn't just high school kids, it was, mums and, people in their 50s and, the main area was 20s to 30s. And I was like, okay, cool. Like we need support for those people as well, and even just that more wellness side of it as well. It's not just about if you're having a really bad day, but like what can you hop on the app every day to kind of like improve your life. So everything.
So you were covering things from what, exercise?
So fitness, meditation, yoga. We have financial advisors on the app, career coaches, confidence coaches, doctors talking about fertility and, talking about periods and, normalizing those things, relationship coaches. The lot.
It's really
everything.
Everything covered. Is there one particular area that gets a bit more focus than others? Ooh. Have you noticed with it all?
It's so different what people gravitate to, like, because there's so much variety. It's so interesting to see, like, some people would never touch the fitness, while some people, that's all that they're on the app for because they love it. But something really, really powerful for me was the financial education has been really popular. And I just love that. It's, the financial educators are female and they chat about, and break things down, very, female ways that we would understand. And I just think that's so powerful that people are getting it.
And it's really important because there's a rise in homelessness and it's women who haven't been in charge of their finances and find themselves either widowed or divorced and they don't have a leg to stand on. They're living in a beat up old car.
So that financial literacy is just so important. It's a wonderful, knowledge to pass on to women for them to have the access to.
So
That's
important.
really good.
Yeah. So everything, finance, budgeting. And I showed my nana and she was like, oh my God, I didn't know half of this stuff.
bless
And that's just so powerful because, you're right. Like if you've, it's very much, always been, the men will look after the finances. It's like, what if you want to learn how to invest, how do we do that? So steps to do that as well. It's been really cool.
Oh, I love it. And you've got all ages covered as well.
Yeah.
If Granny's jumping
Yeah.
on as well.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's got all her friends onto it. Thanks, Nana. Yeah.
But how vital is that, having the support of your family and your friends? I mean, you've spoken about how supportive your mum and dad have been. That's
everything. Yeah. Totally.
Beautiful.
Love it. Love it. Have they given you some advice that you spoke about, financial advice? Do you take it all in? Have you at one point gone, no, I'm not sure I agree with you on that one, but, how does all that go?
Totally. More than ever, especially with my stepdad, working so closely with him. He's, very senior in the job he does and he's, doesn't get questioned a lot. And then there's me being like, no, we're not doing it that way. This is how we're doing it. And he's like, and he's learned and he's gone, actually, she's really strong and she knows what she wants. And, after all the arguments, I see why she wanted it that way and move forward. But when it's like my baby, like it's your vision, it's what you want. So I'm really firm on, how it.
Are people jumping on it for help with bullying?
Yeah, it's been, and all sorts of things. Like we had at the start of the year when people were going back to school, mums jumping on and being like, hey, I'm sending my daughter to year 6 today and I'm really nervous. Like, how do I go about this? And, people from all ages going on there and offering advice for that as well. So, it's been really cool, full circle. And not just bullying, but all sorts of really powerful things, because mental health, speaking about the issues out loud is sometimes the scariest thing, and sometimes you don't want to scare your friends or family with some of the things that are going on too. So being able to have girls go on the app and just say, what's on their mind or what they're struggling with, and instantly having, that support for them has been really cool.
Positive support.
And totally.
Positive comments rather than, like you say, with other social media, it could be negative the whole time.
Yeah, it can turn into a nightmare, can't it, when you have people who are not necessarily in that place to support and offer positive advice.
So much so. And Instagram and Facebook ban the conversations around mental health. They are often shadow banned and taken down completely because it is, a taboo topic and they don't want to have control over where that goes. But you're so right. Even if it's just asking for help, I spoke to a lady using the app and she said she used to use those Facebook groups, how you've got we've got the Bunbury, support group, but you can see whoever's posted on that. So she saw that her, ex-husband's new partner was on there asking for advice about something, and within, 2 minutes of that being posted, she had 3 of her friends screenshot it and be like, look what she's posting about.
And how awkward is that?
Yeah. And because it is that world, right? Because we're all so connected. So just an app that's separate to that, where, you can go on and ask for advice without, your partner's ex or friends all seeing it.
The anonymity of that app, as you say, just provides so much more comfort in putting yourself out there and asking some hard questions.
Totally, that safe space.
So it's monitored 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, make sure. And we're really lucky that there's not much that has to be taken down at all. It's all really, really positive, which is so cool. But globally, we've got even the professionals on the app are from all over the world. So it's been really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mind boggles over actually pulling something like that all together. It's so much work for you.
So much
So this
work.
is your full-time job?
Yeah. Wow. Keeps me so busy.
I can't imagine, because it's like when you just said globally, I was thinking, it'll probably be around Australia, maybe a little bit in America. Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So what kind of team do you have now?
So you've got over, that 100 professionals on the app. So I was up at 1 a.m. because that's 10 a.m., LA time last night on my laptop, messaging, telling people what they need to do, asking for opinions and stuff. So, it's been crazy, but so cool to kind of bring that all together.
So you're very hands-on as well with it.
Yes.
It's not like you've just left
No,
everyone
hello
else.
Got
everyone.
stuff.
I'll be
No.
on
Yes.
an island. No,
Exactly.
no,
I'm
very
off with
hands-on.
my millions.
Yeah.
I'm heading out of here.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
No, very much. This is, very, very hands-on. This is what I want. This is,
Yeah.
and managing people. I feel like that's something that you don't get taught. And when you're, I'm 21 now, just turned 21, but being able to, get people to take you seriously and be like, hey, like, I'm paying you for this work. I need it to be, a standard.
Wow.
And it's all very new.
God, I've got a new role model.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. That's you,
That's
baby.
incredible.
Tell me, what's in the future? I'm presuming that you have a 5-10 year
Yeah.
plan in place.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, there's new content on the app every week, so just keeping that up to date has been really cool. As well as going into schools. I was at Minia this morning, and just going into schools and speaking to kids is really, really cool, and just empowering them that maybe it doesn't just have to be that vet pathway or that ATAR pathway, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up, and the friends around me all knew exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to be nurses or teachers, and I was like, I don't really know. And knowing that you don't have to really fit into that to have everyone says if you want to be successful, like ATAR's the way to go. You need a degree and you need to make that happen. So
well, because I always thought that, because that's what I've been told, but now I'm a high school dropout now. I'm just doing a training course somewhere.
Yeah.
And
She's
that's what I
she's
want,
a broadcast superstar in the making.
yes,
Podcaster.
of course.
and you get so much experience, and you can do so many cool things.
And I learned so many stories as well. Like, can help me for the future.
Totally.
That's
And
so true.
and you can put that on your resume. Like I, made an app, and I was, I speak to a lot of people and managed to get some really cool job opportunities and working careers, in social media marketing that I thought I wanted when I started. And then I was like, well, I actually don't want this at all. But just because you're doing things differently,
Because you've got
other
your
people.
dream job right here.
Yeah, totally.
You've created.
But as an employer, showing them that you can do really cool things as well is really powerful to you. Yeah, it doesn't have to be traditional.
So a little bit further down the track then, 5-10 years, like where do you see it all? So,
Yeah, all different things. I'd love to develop it up, hire out a space and have it, everyone just works from their own little houses. I think it'd be really cool to have, a big space that we can all be in and work collaborative together. But just help as many people as I can, I think is my biggest mission.
Has it been an eye-opener dealing with corporate world and businesses whose ethos may not have been similar to why you set up HerHelp? Has there been instances where you've gone, man, everyone's out for the buck, aren't they? Or, have you had that kind of response?
Yeah, totally. And when you go into corporate organizations or you speak at those, organizations, or you, we've got some corporate partnerships of, corporate organizations paying for memberships for their staff as well, which has been really cool. But yes, very eye-opening to be like, wow, this world is so different. Because when you come, straight out of school and just start something, the sky's the limit. You can just achieve whatever, and, you can create whatever it is you put your mind to. While these corporate organizations, everything's very structured, and there's, a roof, and there's someone, they're waiting.
Sometimes
they have strategies.
and sometimes I think they make strategies because someone needs a job to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think
That's
no,
so true.
because look what you've done without anyone. You had people obviously saying, "Be careful,
Yeah.
don't do this, don't do that." Look, I'll buy this, but I'm going to do it this way because I've got all the strategies. But in fact, you just went, nope.
Yeah, just weave your way, because
I've got a plan.
Yeah,
Here I go.
I've got this. Let's make it happen. And that's the thing. You've just you have to look at where you are, and there's always going to be things that kind of pop in and go, hey, like this would be great at the short term rewards.
And there's we do this like this in this company here, but why do you do that?
Why
And
do you
just
do it
because
like
you've
that?
always done that doesn't mean it's going to work now. And
exactly
you're
right.
the example of that kind
Totally.
of,
Yeah. And I struggle in those environments now of going back and, working with them instead of for them. And it's very much that thing, like, why do you do that? And they're like, that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
I'm like, but is that the best way to do it?
That might have been great for that particular time and that particular management strategy, but
It doesn't
now
work with your
you're
staff.
doing this.
Yeah.
So how about doing it like this?
Now, you've received some wonderful acknowledgement for all the hard work and the success of HerHelp. Tell us about some of the awards, because that must be a whole nother level as well.
It's really bizarre, very bizarre. Nothing I ever thought, would ever happen. So one of the biggest ones is I'm the WA Young Person of the Year for Innovation for a Sustainable Future.
Well done.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's very cool.
And one I won a Curtin Innovation Award. Now that's big for me because I, am at Curtin very part-time, 1 unit a year, part-time. And
Is that 2 hours a week?
Yeah, not even. Should be more. But being able to, win an award up against researchers that have, worked in their fields for 10, 20, 30 years. And one of the ladies said to me the other day, she goes, I think you're the youngest person to ever win an award like this. So being recognised on that university level without, ever really going to a class just shows that, the stuff that you can do can be really powerful.
Great kudos to you. That is really, really impressive. And I imagine that puts you in the situation as well of meeting some very other like-minded people who are very passionate in their fields and what they want to do, how they want to achieve.
Yeah, it's been so inspiring because, little Bunbury, but then when you go, a little bit bigger and you see people coming from all different parts of WA or, Australia and seeing, you're like, okay, cool, like these maybe are my people. Like we're not wanting, we're not after that corporate life. Like maybe we want to change the world. Yeah.
And what are you studying?
So I'm doing a Bachelor of Communications, majoring in marketing. That was when I finished school. I was like, this will help me with my app. It didn't. Yeah. It didn't. It surprised me, the level, because you go there and I'm like, cool, like I've worked so hard to get a seat at this table. You work for 14 years, ATAR, and I sat down and it was a welcome to social media marketing, and Instagram had a brown logo, and, they were talking about, social media marketing with a video with iPhone 4s. And I was like, oh, this is like a 10-year-old PowerPoint. Maybe, and then everything about, everything I'd worked so hard for and being like, uni's like the end goal. I was like, oh, I'm actually not learning anything to relay back to my business here.
That was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, so disappointing. And speaking to people in creative courses at all the universities say the same, that it's it can be very outdated, and when creative, especially marketing or digital, changes, every 2 weeks. So
it's exponential development, isn't it, in those
crazy
fields?
So it was very eye-opening. Like, or maybe I can learn more. This piece of paper is amazing, but am I going to put all this time into a piece of paper where I'm not learning anything, or do I put that aside and go, I can learn so much more and develop myself so much more without that bit of paper?
Again, what you were saying before, it's taking yourself outside of that structure that we've always been force-fed to believe is the only way to move forward. But, you've clearly demonstrated
you're a doer.
Power and that success can come way outside that expectation.
Totally. And there's lots of pushback from people, around you that are like, no, but this is the structure and this is how it's always been.
And
so
you
this
need
is how
to get
it is.
this piece of paper.
Yeah, because you want to be appealing. I'm like, I don't want to work for anyone ever again.
Lovely.
So but it's that thing, right? Breaking down.
I'm a doer. I would start studying and then I stopped, and then I went back to uni and then I stopped, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to learn to do it. And just do it, because I don't think it means much. I remember Anita Roddick, who started the Body Shop. I read her book a long time, about 30 years ago, and she said that someone from Harvard or something, or Yale, had said, oh no, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. So she made a point of never hiring anyone. Oh. And this is a global company.
Yeah.
Who went to that university. She made a point because she's like, no.
Oh, she held a grudge.
But she was also like, you can't say that to people. There are people who, for whatever reason, they're not going to go and get that piece of paper. Totally. But they are very good at doing this particular job.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting for me going into television. I was one of if not the last person that got a cadetship without a university journalism degree.
Yeah, wow.
So I came in. I didn't need it. Thankfully, I think I pestered the boss so much that in the end it was like, oh, for God's sake, Shauna, have a cadetship. Just shut up about it, will you? So off we went. But that was very much based, and probably journalism is one of those skills where it is life skills.
Totally, it's learning on the job. Yeah,
absolutely. That was 35 years ago.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's just you learn so much more hitting the ground running and
you do.
failing and
doing.
Yeah, stepping up. Yeah. Totally.
You've certainly proven that to us.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad.
Absolutely. Stormed in. Very good. Love it.
I'm amazed. I'm totally blown away by what you're going to do in the future with it, like the way you were saying that you don't ever want to work with anybody ever again, but obviously with, and where you're going to go and where your headquarters will be. I'm sure it'll be in Bunbury though.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I
it'll be
do
in
love home.
Bunbury.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because you said you moved to Kalgoorlie and then when
Then
did you
home
come
again.
back?
I came back. Oh my goodness, Mum made me think about this last night. I think it was end of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, because of
went
COVID?
up there. No, I went up there for a boy after
yeah.
school.
Yeah,
Came
yeah.
back,
Boy.
heartbroken.
Nice
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear about
But no,
that.
that's
But,
right.
you know.
You go on the app, you're like, hey, relationship section, perfect. Let's like
Yes.
add some tabs about heartbreak. Yeah. Who's it? Yeah. No.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
Fuel.
good. So, and
Yeah.
now you're back and you
Yeah.
so you do have to leave Bunbury very often or
Yes.
Yeah, you do?
Yes. There's lots of things. Like I do a lot of speaking events. So like 2 weeks ago, I was up in Perth. I counted 6 times in like a week and a
Oh, yeah.
half.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was at the Perth Convention Centre speaking at a leadership event and then up the next weekend because, you
Wow.
know, HerHelp was sponsoring an event. So yeah, constantly back and
And
forth.
have you gone overseas with it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was in Malaysia in November, which is
Wow.
really cool. And then, yeah, plans to go over to Europe this year as well.
Yes.
How have you found you're developing public speaking skills?
Yes.
Because that's something that you really have been learning on the fly as well.
Yes, so much so. And like I am never been a very brave person. So what you know, at school you go, okay, like well, you got to do a presentation or
Oh, yeah.
even just read a sentence of a book at school. I was never like listening to what the book was about. I was just reading my sentence
Yeah.
over and over again.
Oh, no, that's what I was doing right now.
Yeah, I do the same because it's scary and I hated saying that out loud. And then the first proper like event I had to do was when I was 17, like 2 days before my WACE exam, I got invited to speak at a Women in Technology event in front of 500 professional women. And I was like, I've never done that before. And I got up and I just did it. You black out at the time. I couldn't remember how I was feeling. But, you know, I did it. And then I had all these incredible people coming up to me and, you know, had over 10 business cards, you know, BHP being like, you tell me what you want to do and we'll create a role for you. And just
Oh my God.
that kind of built my confidence. I was like, okay, so like someone listened. And yeah, now I'm speaking at events with 2,000 high school kids, which is so much scarier because they're all
Oh, yeah.
You still feel a little
judgy.
bit nervous when you
Yeah.
But
step out.
the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it's easy to talk about something you're passionate about.
I was just going to ask, when you just believe it so much,
Yeah.
talking about things does come a lot easier, doesn't it?
Totally. If you had to get me up there speaking about economics or a PowerPoint presenting the stock market, I think I'd be, as I was in high school, being like, I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, when you think that, you know, this could help someone, it's easier to do it.
And that's what it's all about, helping. The Wisdom of Women. We're all about acknowledging an amazing journey that you've had, Lexi, and we take our hat off to you for the strength and for that damn stubbornness you've clearly shown in making this
Works
happen.
sometimes. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Lexi. You've like shown how lots of young women and older women that they can realise their potential.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
You're
If you've been
welcome.
affected by any of the topics discussed, please visit the support links, and we have links for more show information or, you know, to subscribe if you want.
Oh, please do. Now, Lexi, before we go, we'd love a good quote here at the WOW or offers of
Yes.
advice that you think maybe every woman needs to hear once in a life.
I love that. One of the ones that stuck with me and was my phone wallpaper for a while was be the woman you needed as a girl.
Oh,
Love it.
that's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, that is a mic drop.
Yeah, well, that's-
really
Yeah.
fantastic.
If you can do something as you get older that, you know, would benefit, you know, you younger, then it's worth it.
Thank you. And always remember,
Every day.
You are remarkable.